How's everybody doing after that? y'all still breathing? Y'all still here? Have a sec to calm down. Uh, that was a wild game, RJ. That's all I can say about it. Thanks everybody for joining us here on Emerald City Hockey's Postgame Live, presented by Queen Anne Beer Hall. Oh boy, this must have been an interesting game for all the folks down at the Queen Anne Beer Hall. All the goals going on, and then the overtime finish there. But RJ, I mean, Kraken, they were able to win it, but wasn't pretty.
No, certainly wasn't. I mean, this was an ugly game from the Kraken's perspective. They played down to their opponent. Shouldn't have ever been this close, but you know what? Sometimes good teams find a way to pick up 2 points, even when it's not pretty. And that's exactly what the Kraken did tonight. That's what I was saying at second intermission. Just, you're making a lot of mistakes. It's bad. But if at any point you want to get things together, the 2 points are right there for the taking. And they're absolutely huge when you look at the standings right now.
Oh, this is the time of year where they seem like they mean a lot more than just 2 points. You know what I mean? And this was a good one for them. Pretty similar to the last game against the Blues in the sense that you're playing this team that, on paper you're better than them. I think just watching, it was pretty visible. Kraken, as you said, also on Twitter, had the talent advantage. Like, it was obvious. But you're playing a team that was selling off. Guys on that team seem pretty motivated tonight from the Red Wings, just like the Blues were. And the Kraken, they just allow themselves to make mistakes that are so costly. Like, when they make mistakes, like they should just be a commercial. Like, I don't always make mistakes, but when I do, the other team scores a goal. That should be the slogan for this team, because that's really what it's turned into for the Seattle Kraken. But I'm so happy that they were able to get the 2 points. For the most part of the game, they had earned the 2 points. So I was happy that they finally kind of came away with it. DJ and Tay with the super chat here to kick us off. A tiger can't change its stripes, and apparently the Kraken defense can't change their mental errors. At least they found a way to win. Very good summary for this one right there. That's what this was. I mean, it's entirely what it was, because today the mistakes that were made were basically all defensive.
Yeah, exactly. And they're the exact type of things that we've noticed for a long time, with, I guess, an extra dash of not guarding screening players right in front of the net. That's not always the issue. It's popped up a lot, but man, was that the problem tonight.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That one in particular, which one was it? It was the Wallman goal. That last goal for Detroit, where you just have Borgen and Alexiak. It was one of their bad games, I guess, and they just left somebody. I don't remember which Red Wing it was, but just completely in front of Grubauer. That picture you posted on Twitter was perfect, because you can see Grubauer has to leave so much of that net exposed to try to see around the screen. I mean, it was absolutely brutal, pretty inexcusable. You look at like some of the other ones, the Berggren goal, like that one, everybody's kind of in the right spot. They don't really stop the pass, and they don't really pick up his stick. Jones is also like somewhere very, very far away from where he needed to be. But like that one, there was at least there was like a defensive effort there. You have one defender bodying somebody up, the other defender's trying to get across. You have Geeky, the center, back trying to help. He's just not taking the stick. But there's like effort, and people are in positions there, and then you just get beat. But like that Wallman one, you're just ignoring a pretty big problem.
And skating away from him too. I mean, really just parting the seas. I saw it described as, that's exactly what it was. And yeah, Grubauer had to kind of look around him. I got a question on Twitter that I didn't have time to answer before the game ended, though, of like why he chooses to look around the defender and kind of leave so much of the net open. Vision is so important for NHL goalies. Like, generally, if you can see it, you can stop it. But you have to make sure you see where that puck is coming to at least give yourself a chance. If you don't look around him and you don't see anything, then it's a pure luck that it hits you or it doesn't. You're better off even leaving a little bit more of the net open, because goalies also are quick enough. Generally, you can get a hand over there or something, right, if you do see the puck coming there.
Yeah. You'll see, if you can see the release of the shot. Like, that's what so much of goaltending is. You listen to any interviews with goaltenders, so much of it has to do with them being able to see the release of the shot, because that can tell them so much about if it's high, if it's low, which direction it's going, all that kind of stuff. So it's a much better idea to try to lean around the guy. And yeah, I mean, I mean, just think about it, everybody, right? Like, what do you have a better chance of stopping it if you could see it? Probably. Like, this is kind of the way it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can also zero in on the release, that'll give you a lot of information that you need to know. Some positives though on the Kraken side of things, and then I'll hop into chat, and that is that Jared McCann exists and Oliver Bjorkstrand exists. Those are pretty great positives for the Seattle Kraken.
Very much so, man. You could see a lot of Jared McCann existing in this game and thriving really with that shot that he has. I mean, he was feeling it, absolutely feeling it tonight. On that path, just trying to get 30. He was very close to the first period hat trick, which would have been his 30th of the season. But he was still around the puck pretty much all game after that too.
Yeah, absolutely. They were both solid. I mean, oh man, that McCann so close to the first period Hattie. So
Yeah.
close. Just roofed it a little bit too high on that last one there. A couple more super chats here. Gary, happy Kraken Day to all who observe. Let's go. Thank you, Gary. Happy Kraken Day to you as well.
Kraken 2-0 all time on Kraken Day.
I know. It's pretty great. And then got a super chat here from Brian. It's great to see you again, Brian. Hope everything's been well with you. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor or when the Finns invaded Wounded Knee? No, it was over in overtime on Kraken Day. Missed you all. We missed you too, Brian. What a great way to come back to with the awesome speech from the end of Animal House there. Yeah, I mean that's just the bottom line. Is Kraken, they hung in there, they found a way to win, and they did it. And like I said, thankfully, Oliver Bjorkstrand exists.
Yeah, he sure does. And yeah, so great to have you back, Brian, here. Awesome message. I mean, coming back in style. I expected nothing less from you, though. Although the Finns would never do something like that.
No, they're too clever. CR Bud with the super chat. So with the D troubles, why not try Megna? This feels like a game in which, tomorrow we might see Megna potentially, just because of everything and the fact that you had to use both your goalies today, the day before another hockey game. We'll get into that later too. I'm trying to keep it positive because we did win, but there was some worrying aspects of this one as well. Super chat here from Patrick. Back into third. Glad we got the full 2 points. Not sure if you're doing a special tomorrow, but think we are making any last minute moves. Canner. So let's talk about those last minute moves. I mean, we got 2 of them right there. One, do you think Megna cycles in?
Yeah, I think. I don't know. I think, yeah, maybe we do see Megna in the lineup. It's tough to see, if he's going in for Susie or whatever. A lot of the problems were on the Dunn-Larson pair, and neither of those guys is getting scratched. So I do wonder. I wouldn't be surprised to see Megna slot in, but I'd say it's maybe less than 50% chance personally. But I do think he was meaning last minute trade.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think that's probably what he meant, and I didn't pick up on it. Last minute trades. I mean, do you think we see anything? Just about everybody else in this divisional playoff race has made some pretty big moves, RJ. Kraken are the one team to stand pat, although things are starting to turn around for them. I mean, they're getting wins now at least, but they're not pretty. Do you think the Kraken, kind of have to do something here, or is it just still let's just ride it out?
I think most likely scenario, they don't do anything before the deadline's up. I wouldn't be shocked to see something minor, maybe a mid-round pick for, a depth center, something like that. I don't know. But I'm not expecting anything big from Ron Francis tomorrow. And really, I want to keep it positive, but looking at this team and how they've been playing, I don't blame him for looking at that and think this is not the year to load up.
Yeah, I'm around to that too. I think all the pieces that I really kind of wanted are gone. If you weren't going to be able to get a Ryan O'Reilly to help with the face-off issues this season, then don't make that move. If you weren't able to get a Jacob Chikrin who can help you this year and in the future, then don't make a move. So I don't think they're going to be doing anything. JMG, do you see Drieger replacing Jones down the stretch? Another super chat here. Thank you, JMG. Thank you. Jules got another one we'll hit up next. Thanks everybody for the super chats already today.
This is awesome. Great.
But do you think Drieger will replace Jones down the stretch, RJ?
We're still a ways out from that. Drieger's got to get healthy. He's got to, fully healthy and back into game shape. I know he's playing games with the Firebirds, but you talk about the end of March. If Drieger looks good with Coachella Valley and the way Jones is playing, I wouldn't be surprised to see a goalie competition there, at the end of March for the backup spot. Grubauer, I think, is, pretty clearly the starter at this point. But it's going to be something to watch. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think I think it's seeming inevitable. Martin Jones is still struggling, and it's not even like, oh, he's struggling with just like one thing, like, oh, his glove is a little off right now. Like, no, it's everything from like lateral mobility to just being leaky to just, I mean, just a couple of these where again he just gets beat. Like, there's no excuse. Like that first goal, the Ben Chirac goal, like he just got beat there. Like, there's no excuse for that one, really. You know what I mean? It wasn't moving that fast across. Like, I don't know. I just think he's struggling. You look at the other one where he's just so aggressive on that Berggren goal.
He
Like
just
that's
doesn't stop his momentum. He's
yeah,
sliding to one side. He's squared up the entire way, but he lets himself just continue to slide
right.
too much, and then he's out. Yeah.
Right, but is that because he's pushing off and he's trying to play so high up in the crease? Like the play is in close. Like, you got to be like to where you can use the post, and the post would stop you from sliding in that situation, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
He's
So
playing that really aggressively.
like, that was an insanely aggressive thing to do. I don't know. I think that there was a reason Hackstall pulled him there. I know part of that was also to send the message to the team as a whole, like, let's stop giving away
Yep.
leads here. But I think part of it was also just because Jones didn't have it tonight either. And the bottom line is the last like 3 times we've seen Jones start a game, he hasn't had it, and that's a problem. That's
Yep.
definitely worrisome. A super chat from Jules. Like I said, happy days. Got to watch the game with my dad tonight. Feel like an overtime win is a win for my dad and I. Well, I'm very happy to hear that, Jules. I hope you both had a fantastic time watching the game together, and I'm glad that you were able to get the win tonight watching the game together. And then Leanne as well with the big super chat here. I needed Dramamine for this game. What a ride. 29 for 29. Yay, Jared. Thank you very much, Leanne. Very much appreciate it. And again, I'm telling you, RJ, Jared McCann existing, it's pretty good all the way around.
Oh, for sure. And I'm sure we got a bunch of comments in here too about maybe 2 of Jared McCann existing would be even better if you could clone him. But thank you so much, Leanne, for the super chat. I mean, following along with this ride, you got McCann in your little photo there. I mean, he's playing great right now. We talked about this last post game saying, oh, he's flirting with 30 goals, maybe sooner than we thought. And I know we sounded like, oh, 40 is probably out of the question, but hey, keep scoring 2 every game. He'll be there in no time.
I was gonna say, McDavid's proving you can do that. If you just decide to, you can just score 2 goals a game forever, apparently. But yeah, happy for McCann. Bust through, get new career high for him, and showing no signs of slowing down anytime soon either. Just absolutely fantastic from him. All right, I'll try to speed run here through some comments. We'll try to get through some of these really quick here. Tammy kicking us off with the Bjorky. I mean, I love him so much, RJ. I love that he's finally scoring. All of his effort is being rewarded. It's fantastic. Habak, I almost passed away. The Kraken are responsible for my future therapy. I'll make sure to pass along the bill. Well, that was more stressful than it needed to be from TJ and Tay. That's a good way of kind of putting this game, actually. Michael, I really hate the Red Wings. Grew up an Avs fan, and I still love seeing them lose. I think anybody who's ever been a fan of another team in the Western Conference, if you go back a little while, feels the same. It's just the way it is.
I remember the Red Wings Sharks days. It wasn't always fun.
Yeah, no, it wasn't always, was basically never. The boys remain undefeated on Kraken Day from Lindsay there. I know let's just keep it rolling every year. I think every year though, they should stop all the other games, and the Kraken should just play one other team, only game of the day. You know what I mean? Like, let's really make this a celebration. Is that too hard to do, Bettman? Come on. You've kept a franchise in Arizona all these years.
I don't know if I like that pressure. Just stay under the radar like Jared McCann.
All right. Ty, exhale, but man, that was ugly. It wasn't clean. That felt like a must win. Love to know why Jones started first game of back-to-back and Detroit is better than Columbus from Burnt Creme. I do have a theory here, RJ. Do you think that Hackstall wanted Grubauer to kind of have the easier game just to really be like 100% solid again? Or is this like a career splits thing?
I looked at the career splits as I always do. It was pretty close. Grubauer's actually pretty good against Detroit, so I don't know. But if you're looking at recent play though, recent run of play, I think you can make the argument that right now Columbus is the better team.
Yeah, maybe.
They've done better in their last few games than Detroit had. Detroit just lost 2 ugly games to Ottawa. They look terrible tonight. I mean, just really,
Yeah.
really bad tonight.
Yeah.
I thought that the Red Wings were just awful in a lot of ways. The fact that they let the Kraken hang in and win this game, I don't know. So I would think that maybe you could even make an argument Detroit's the worst team, and so you try and give the worst team to Jones.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, it kind of goes with what I've been talking about for a little while, at least just the two of us, which is the bottom teams in this league right now have all decided they don't want Connor Bedard, apparently, because they're all winning. The Ducks are winning, the Blackhawks are finding ways of winning. Arizona's winning a lot of games. Like none of them want to lose games right now, and Columbus is right in there. They're also probably just getting healthy. So much of what's plagued the Blue Jackets this season has just been injuries. So yeah, but I got to think it'll be Grew tomorrow night, despite the fact that he came in and had to play today. I mean, somebody's got to start tomorrow. In my mind, has to be Grew.
How do you go back to Jones tomorrow? How do you do that?
You can't. No, and you got to stick with the schedule too. Like you don't want to blow that. George Costanza here. My poor blood pressure. Go Kraken and go Grew. I know it's not a great night for those of us that have to deal with that. Just saying. Ben, with the beating Bjorky has been taking recently, so happy he got the game winner. Grew so solid today too. I mean, Bjorkstrand, RJ. I mean, do you think it's possible that this season he could get up to double-digit shooting at percentage?
Oh man, I mean that's a lot of complicated math to go over quickly, but I think he's got a shot. If he keeps finishing like he has, and I talked to him too, mostly to talk about the Brad Marchand and stuff and the slew foot. But when the Kraken were at home, I did talk to him, and I asked him about kind of being a volume shooter on a team that doesn't really have a lot of those, and he said it's not like too different. You don't have to adjust your play too much, but he's like, I just hope some of them start going in for me. You could tell he felt like, some of those were coming. And they have been, so that's good.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I'm happy to see it from him. And, I saw people talking about it on Twitter too, him being paired, as kind of like a natural shooter with a natural passer in Wenberg. I mean, this could be the start of like a really hot run he could go on here for the next little bit for the Kraken. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Sean here with the big super chat as well. 22 for 22, getting 2. Can't believe we got him for peanuts. Enjoy the treats, Afra. Thank you, Bjorky. Oh man, Afra is having dinner right now, but she will be up here in a little bit, and we'll definitely take care of her for you, Sean. Thank you very much for that super chat. Yeah, I mean,
I'm liking the numbers on these.
I'm liking the numbers on these too.
There, yeah.
Yeah, all right, maybe I can get on board with Daniel Sprong after all. I'm just saying. Just kidding.
Hey, actually, we have 91 viewers in here right now in chat, so there you go.
Look at that. I'm so good. I don't even know it. Yeah, no, I'm loving Bjorkstrand. You all know this. I loved him before we got him. I've loved him all season long, despite the fact that he's had such a hard time getting goals. I just think he plays a fantastic game. And I'm not just saying that because he's an awesome former Portland Winterhawk either. All right, Lindsay, this one's a good comment. Psst, Jared McCann has more goals than Austin Matthews this season. Just saying, confirmed right here. They should have stuck with McCann and left Austin Matthews available in the expansion draft.
There you go. With the benefit of hindsight, it's obvious.
Yep. How about big hit Borgatron too? Yeah, I mean, outside of that one play where they just didn't cover anybody, Borgat, I thought, played pretty well. Like, this wasn't necessarily a bad game for that pairing. Like, we've seen them have bad games. Like, it was just that one play. And I got to think that was just a miscommunication. Like, each one thought at any time the other was going to go take care of that guy standing in front of Grubauer, and then they just got paralyzed by that.
Yeah, it's happened to us all. You're walking down a hallway. Oh, you this way. You got it. It happens. But the hit from Borgen was pretty nice. I mean, he hit, what was it? I forget who it was, but hit him pretty well. Braun? No, who was it?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I was just too pumped up. I was just like, yeah.
Dina, that's who it was.
Okay, yeah. Tammy, I'm back from my trip to see the Kraken. I think we've lost every game I've been to, most recently Toronto. Sorry, guys, I only have one more this year, lol. You can talk to Ty on how to get through that situation. It's an unfortunate one. Too many Kraken fans have had to deal with. So you're not alone there, but like, wow, it is brutal. I feel bad for you, Tammy. You definitely don't deserve that. Gru definitely brought this one home for us, though, from Ty. Agreed. I mean, he had to make some pretty big saves there. And I do want to shout out also, like, Billy Huso. Like, he
Mhm.
had to weather a storm in net for the Red Wings, and he had to come up clutch for them a couple times too. So I do gotta shout him out because I do think he doesn't get talked about enough, and I like him. Sarah, who else feels like they just ran a mile? I think we can all get on board with that one. So I'm making so many crinkly packages here. All right, here we go. Just for
Oh,
Sean. Oh, my camera's stuck. After you got to come into frame to get your big.
come
For
on.
you, Sean, got a big frosted
Oh,
cookie.
look at
Yeah,
that.
like a really nice big one. There we go. Thank you again one more time.
And you guys are
Gosh,
really upgrading Afra's treat game. I
I
mean,
know. I
this is a
know.
big step up from the start of the season.
Apologies that she took it to the other side of the bed. She's all like, "Oh, it's mine." Striatic almost got Waldman, but fought through it. That's right. I'm gonna put that Waldman goal and the inability for them to take care of that guy net front, Striatic, squarely on your shoulders for talking up Waldman so much. They were afraid to get involved in the play because Waldman was there.
Are you okay, by the way, Striatic? After that goal, I
No.
thought you would just like spontaneously combust or something after that one.
It's very true. Um, Sergio, I'm happy the Red Wings can't be our divisional rival. Oh, I'm telling you. Um, let's see. Burnt Creme, when it goes to OT, you expect a loss with any elite finishers and then a power play. Yikes, we got out of there. Yeah, and the power play. I mean, what did you think of the power play in overtime, RJ? Because I felt like they could have maybe been a little bit more aggressive with it.
Agreed. I wasn't too thrilled with it. What was funny though is they showed the whiteboard, the play they were drawing
Yeah.
up on the broadcast, and so I zoomed in. I could see the play they were going for. They didn't do it right away because the face-off didn't go cleanly their way, but they regrouped and they ran that play, which was kind of cool to see just as a viewer watching it all come together and knowing what they were trying to do.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I think there were some better looks they could have created. It seemed to thrive more off of the chaos than what they were trying to do.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was okay, good enough. I mean, Bjorkstrand really just with the finish there helped.
Yeah, that was a big time finish, and like what a sick move to shoot like to the opposite side there too, like knowing that
Mhm.
that would be opened up. Like that's somebody who did a little bit of homework on that goalie. Gary, thank you Detroit for the power plays late in the game. They gave us that game. Yeah, I mean, let's talk about it, RJ. Kraken, they got a power play goal. 1 for 5. It's not great, but they got a power play goal in this one.
Yeah, and two of those came right as penalties expired too. I mean, they're
Yeah.
pretty unlucky to be only 1 for 5 in that game. I mean, a couple very power play influenced goals, which
Yes.
is a reassuring sign to see, even if it
It
doesn't show up
is.
on the stat sheet.
It is. I was very happy to see that for sure. Um, Let's see. How many games now is that with 5 plus goals for the Kraken? A lot, Michael. It's a lot. but never enough. That's the real answer. Doesn't matter how many there've been, it's never enough. Lindsay Schwartz with that failed sliding block looks like me on my beer league team playing most of the game with my backside on the ice. Lol. Oh man, he got like juked right out of his skates on that one, RJ.
I know. I did that
I
one.
felt bad
Oh,
for him. It was rough, but yeah. Gru's been playing well in front of a shaky defense for a while now. I agree with that. Let's talk about the Larson Dunn pairing because it is been bubbling, right? That it hasn't
mhm.
been great. Do you think that we'll see a change there? I mean, we've seen the other D pairs get shaken up. Do you think that Hackstall would ever split those guys up?
No, not if they're healthy. I think he's going to ride it through thick and thin. Um, yeah, he likes that deep pair, and I think they're going to get their game back together. I'm not too worried. In the short term, you'd obviously like it to be playing better, but they've got that chemistry. They know what the assignments are supposed to be. It's tough when you're on the road and you don't have kind of a practice to maybe reset.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would be very surprised to see that deep pair split up.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I think if you, yeah, probably we won't see it, but if you were to do it, now is the time, or maybe you wait until the first game back. But like now is the time to give it a shot to see if there's going to be chemistry with anything else because you don't want to wait really any much longer into a season to do something like that,
Right.
kind of drastic if you don't have to. So if they're going to do it, kind of got to get on that. Joshua, I still say ship out Jones, Susie, and Sprong for some picks and maybe a good D man. Bring Drieger back up, and Berkey will be back soon, and the 3 going out won't be missed. Just saying. It would be interesting. I I don't know that right now Jones has any value is the
No,
problem,
he doesn't.
especially when everyone knows your situation. I don't know that Sprong has really any value either, unfortunately, given that nobody wanted him for anything over the offseason. Susi would still have value. You could still do that deal, especially with Magna in the wings, but the D market is also pretty dried up at this point. Like everybody's gotten somebody that really needed or wanted somebody. I think Ron Francis is going to have to just ride this one out.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, Jones and Sprong don't have a whole lot of value, and especially too, if even if you moved out Jones, even if he had some value, Drieger's just not ready for the NHL right now. He's got to keep working through his recovery. Jones is your only viable backup right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Joshua, on the principle that like those are the like expendable pieces. But yeah, I just don't think that realistically it would be doable. Gregory with the lemon lime Gatorade time. I got you right here. I was pre-gaming too pre-gaming for the post game during the game. Is that possible? Is that something? Pastor Canner scored
What is
the
the
career
game but the pregame for the postgame?
exactly right. We all know that that's what's up. Defense needs to tighten up. Agreed on that one. Um, let's see. Where are we going here? So who starts tomorrow? Because Gru played 2 full periods, including overtime for Medeiros. We talked about it earlier. It's got to be Grubauer still, despite that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people in this section of chat, RJ, talking Gru should have started that game.
Yeah.
Sean, I know. I'm concerned about Jones. Any chance they trade him before the deadline just waived? No, we just talked about that. Yeah, you can talk about starting Gru.
Oh well, I don't know how you go back to Jones right now, and it's tough though because we were just worrying about Grubauer potentially being burned out after that Toronto game. So you do have to be really careful with his workload here. But clearly they see it as I don't think they're worried enough about playing him again tomorrow because that
Yeah.
had to have been the original plan. When you start
Yeah.
Jones here, so to bring Grubauer in halfway through this one, you've got to know that you're going to go right back to him the next day.
Yeah. Lots to talk about that. Sarah just turned the Dogs of the Deep calendar to March, and it's Cheddar's month, and I guess McCann's as well. I think they're both feeling it. That is very true. I saw everybody mentioning that, bringing up that awesome picture of McCann and Cheddar. I love that. I love that he named him after the Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's just so awesome. And yeah, so far for McCann, is off to a very good start.
Oh yeah, for sure. On his month that he knows, Cheddar knows. It's
Yep,
all planned out. That's
Ched-
why they moved it to March.
Yep, they absolutely know. And again, we're in March, everybody. So things should be solid. Like it's only going to keep going up from here. If it doesn't, we blame Lindsay. Uh, I'm just kidding. Like guys, you aren't going to believe this, but we are 29th in the league in penalty kill. We're doing it.
Moving on
See,
up.
moving on up. We got this all day. That's where you're going to be. At this rate, we'll be like 26th come start of the playoffs. It's not bad. It's not bad. Actually, I should say it's bad, but it's not awful. Let's see. Hunter saying Gru needs to be the full-time starter from here on out. I think we'll see that. I mean, Gru was starting to look a little shaky there, but I just think at this point, certainly until Drieger gets back, and even then, you're not going to want to make him like a full-time starter. I just don't see how you can really go with Jones any more than you absolutely have to right now.
Agreed. And they went with him one more game than they absolutely had to, playing him in the St. Louis game. They got away with it, but I think they are living dangerously there now.
Yep, Stradic, Jared McCann leading Elias Pettersson in goals scored. You love to see it. And Austin Matthews. There's a lot of people, I think, behind him at this point. Tammy, more points for Maddie. I thought this was a really good showcase game for Maddie, despite all the chaos going on everywhere else in this one. I felt like this was a really solid game for Maddie. Picks up a couple points. That's nice for the Calder race. But more importantly, in a hockey town like Detroit, to show off his effort. Because like you look at the Jaden Schwartz goal. That's Maddie. You know what I mean? Going into that corner, that it took effort just to turn around and go into that corner, then to win the battle in the corner and make a nice pass up to Everly, who could then find Jaden Schwartz. Like that was a lot of Maddie working on that goal. And like I said, Detroit is one of those like kind of key places. Like there's a lot of awards voters there. You know what I mean? And I thought this was a really good game for him to kind of showcase what he's all about.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Schwartz goal. That was going to be the first thing I was going to go into that corner and win that battle. And the quick thinking too. It's all right to get that puck to Jordan Eberle. I mean, hey, we both saw it.
Yeah.
It jumped right off the page, and I'm sure anyone from Detroit there watching that game is going to see exactly what we saw. The impressive effort there and the quick thinking from Matty Beniers to get that puck over to Eberle and eventually get it for the goal. So yeah, no, good game for him, and an important one too as they go on these road trips to original 6 towns. It seems like he turns it on.
Yeah. So we're in this part of chat here, a lot of people wondering about like the time frame for Chris Drieger. Just in case anybody didn't hear it earlier, RJ said, and I agree with him, it would be late March, probably at the earliest. If things really went downhill, or obviously if there was an injury for one of the two with the Kraken, things change. But I agree that you're, at least the third week of March, probably, before you can start considering that. Q Stealth, no Klingberg, for the love of God. I mean, do you think that's kind of the one name still out there, RJ? It's the one name still attached to the Kraken. I don't really see it. I think that's just people trying to make something out of nothing. But do you have thoughts on it?
I mean, the Kraken did have interest in him reportedly this offseason, and that I do believe. I think they
Yeah.
were sniffing around there. But he's had an absolutely awful season with the Ducks this year. And there's also, again, just where do you put him? I feel like he's another guy like Magna. He plays very differently than Magna, but the situation being the same, where who does he slot into the top 6 for? Who do you kick out of the top 6? Is it Will Borgen? It basically has to be. And
Yeah.
how much does that change your defense? How different does that look with it? Susie Klingberg D pair? I don't know. Given how iffy Klingberg is defensively, it concerns me. And then if you're trading for him just to scratch him, was that worth it?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think it's gonna happen. I just don't see how it can happen. He's playing better now in Anaheim. Like he realized, oh wow, my opportunity to escape is here. I gotta like give somebody a reason to help me out. But yeah, I don't see how it would work for them. Really, the only thing you could say about him is he might be better than some other guys on the Kraken right now at getting the puck out of the zone. But I don't know that
Mhm.
he'd be significantly better enough to give up an asset for him, enough to take on the contract, all that kind of stuff, figure out all the money that would have to go into it too. Like I just don't think it would be worth it.
He'd be Justin Schultz insurance. That's really what it would be.
That's exactly what he would be. Yes. Guess we have to play a goalie back to back unless we get to Quarter Drieger on a jet right now from Patrick. I mean, it has to happen, unfortunately. Um, Q Stealth Jones around 75th in goals saved above expected.
Man, he's fallen far.
That is really rough. Like that, I didn't realize it had gotten that bad. I guess I mean this. At what point do we call it a Kraken curse, RJ? Probably not year 2.
Yeah. I mean,
uh,
on the Discord today, there were people talking about maybe it's a result of the systems and that Hackstalls, they tend to not give up a lot of shots. They look great in Corsi terms. When they do give up something, it's a
yeah,
really high danger chance. And so it's going to make the goalie numbers look bad. Because I think someone mentioned that, oh, if there's a Hackstall curse, or no, it's a Francis curse, I think they were saying with goalies. I don't know. The way the team's constructed, I don't know.
yeah. I don't know. I've just watching it. There's enough times like in this one where you can just visibly point out the like obvious mistake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not like a system mistake. It's not like oh wow, we're super aggressive and we only ever want one defenseman net front. Like no, it's like no, they end up that way on their own for some reason. um, let's see. This team needs to hold each other accountable when they do dumb stuff, from Daniel. I mean, do you think that that's part of the problem? I don't know. I think this team does an okay job with that. I just don't think some of the lessons, as we've talked about, seem to really sink in.
Right. And I'm looking at the third period in this game. Things improved.
They
There were
did.
long stretches where the pace was really high, like without a stoppage, and
Mhm.
the puck was going. A lot of chances to kind of get out of your positioning if you're not careful. And I thought the Kraken were much improved in that regard in the third. Just yeah, it's got to happen sooner than that, of course, but they're not bad at it, just not great.
Yeah. Let's see. Harley pointing out 4 players with multi-point games tonight: Canner, Ebbs, Maddie, and Schwartzy. But y'all know this. But you know what? We know it, but it's definitely worth bringing up because RJ, top 6 right there, showing up.
Yep. Absolutely. And this is what we were kind of hoping for a few weeks ago when the top six was super quiet. And all of a sudden, you're starting to see McCann catch fire, Bjorkstrand catch fire, Maddie
Mhm.
catch fire. It's all happening at once. And, sometimes it just catches up to where you need it to be, even when the depth scoring dries up a little bit.
I was gonna say, throw Bjorky in there too for this one with the multi-point game,
Mm.
multi-goal game from him, and technically playing in the top six. So there we go. That's all it took to wake up the top six, was to get them all going there. Let's see, Jen, the lovely photographer we have. I stand by my statement that Bjorkstrand is made of sunshine and kittens. I will second that absolutely.
Yep.
Um, Let's see. Striatic, harsh sunshine, and mean kittens. Let's see. Uh, Carlos, what's it like watching a team that can actually win close games? I'm a Sharks fan, and everything hurts all the time.
The Sharks just have this uncanny ability this season to blow close games. It's become a bit of a parlor trick in the press bridge, honestly, where I'll turn the Sharks game on, they'll have a third period lead, and I'll be like to the guy next to me, hey, watch this, they're going to blow it. And just reliably, they do it every time. It's pretty fun, actually.
Yeah.
It's bad,
Yeah.
but it's nice. It's nice following the Kraken.
Hockey Mom asking who gets the hat tonight. This is a good one. Definitely need to talk about it. I mean, who are you giving the hat to? I want to give it to Bjorkstrand, but then that seems like the too obvious of a pick, knowing how the Kraken do these things.
Right. I mean, with the 2 goals, I mean, let's think.
Tolvanen, like
Maybe
Tolvanen,
Tolvin.
like he kind of disappeared towards the end of the third, but I think it was just because he played his butt off in the first 2 periods.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, maybe Yanni, he had a fight.
Yeah, but it was a minute into the game. Is that too early
Right.
to feel?
What recency bias? Everyone's forgot. I mean, hey, he sure shut down Ernie there at the end when
That's true.
Bjorkstrand gave him a tap. Just nope. He skated
Yeah.
right away. Maybe Yanni, maybe Grubauer. I know he just had it, but that's pretty gutsy coming in cold and saving the team's bacon like that. I
Yeah.
could see any of those guys.
Yeah, I could definitely see something like that. Jaden Schwartz would be the other one, because like he draws that penalty in overtime. He was net front through a lot of this game, got that clutch goal there. I could see Jaden Schwartz also being the guy.
Mhm.
Patrick saying only a third of y'all have liked the stream. Hit that button. Thank you,
Gotta hit the
Patrick.
like button. Thank you, Patrick, for
Absolutely.
reminding
Thank you
everyone.
very much. Brendan, hello, Emerald City Hockey and chat. How are we all doing this evening? Doing pretty good. Like we got 2 points. Things are all still good.
Heart
It's
rate
all
calming
still
down a
good.
little bit.
Yeah, we're coming around. Let's see, Strike. I've got the best possible outcome. Kraken win plus Wallman highlight. Other than if Francis had pried Wallman out of Detroit and he'd have done it for us instead of against. There's a lot going on there, Strike.
I will say, watching Wallman, even aside from that highlight,
Mhm.
he looked really impressive in this game. I've loved what
Yeah, oh
I've
yeah,
seen from him. Super underrated defenseman.
yeah, for sure. Um, let's see, Sergio. I missed Burakovsky. Game like this would be what he likes. I agree with that. Like this is a game that Andre Burakovsky would have shown up in at some point. You know what I mean? That
Oh, he
back
would
and
have
forth
thrived in
nature.
this one,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's for sure.
especially that overtime. Put him out there for that 4-on-3 overtime
Let's,
power play. Bjorkstrand got the same job done, but Berkey would have loved to be out there.
that's what Daniel's asking. Very next comment. Think that was our first OT winner without Berkey on the ice. So,
Interesting. I'm going to go back and confirm that after this.
I was going to say the last couple of games that have gone to overtime, they have lost. That is an interesting one there, Daniel. I think you might be right. And Daniel also letting us know 13-8 over the next 21 to get to 100. I'm liking that every time. That number looks better and easier to get to. Let's see. It just seems like Dunn has moments in games where his brain turns off. You know what? It was like that at the very beginning of the season, and then he like got super hot and he played well for months and months and months on end. Got to think maybe it's just he's hitting kind of a mental wall. And L players, they hit that at some point, but they always break through it. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
if that's all it is for Vince Dunn, then he's not going to stay like this very long.
And yeah, as you mentioned, he is playing minutes like he has never played before in his career. He is a true workhorse. Adam Larson, his D partners, play in that way too. But at least he's got a season of experience last year, getting that all under his belt. I could see it being a wall like that for Dunn, but he'll bust through it.
Yeah. Stratic asking, what about TVR?
Uh,
Kid, where do you stick him? What are we doing with him?
yeah. Who do you take out of the lineup? What do you do?
Yeah, and seriously, like, let us know, Stratic, if you have like an idea around it. Feel free to throw it in chat here. Harley, please less pretty passes and shoot. Time is of the essence with puck possession. This and bunching up in front of the goalies just bonkers. I mean, I like that they're finally starting to get a net front presence, and we saw it on a couple of these goals that it matters. I mean, we saw it for both teams that if you get like to just screen the goalie, it's a lot easier to score. So shout out to Wenberg on that second McCann goal. I mean, that was all Wenberg doing a fantastic screen he had on the goalie there. You look at the Jaden Schwartz goal. I mean, that's only by crashing the crease there. You get yourself in a position to score that goal. So I like that.
And Schwartz net front on the game winner.
Yeah.
That screen on Husso.
Exactly. So I like that. I like that the Kraken are kind of doing that consistently now, and they're keeping it to only one of them. They're not bunching up with like 5 of them. But I agree. You don't need to go for the perfect pass all the time. I do think like we talked about earlier, certainly in like an overtime power play situation, it's okay to just take shots. Like it's okay. You know what I mean? You can't shoot if you don't. You can't score if you don't shoot. You can't shoot if you
certainly
don't
when you got the power play advantage. 3-on-3 overtime, you got to be a little careful with your shot selection. But with the extra man, you can fire away.
Yeah, you're probably not. Unless you really make a mistake, you're probably not going to get killed in that situation. So you can go ahead and let it fly. And the bottom line is, look, the Kraken have shooters. They've got guys who can score. Bjorkstrand can score. I know he hasn't done it a ton this year, but he can. McCann definitely can score. So I'm really feeling it for them. I'm with you on that one, Harley. Let's see. Lindsay, Bjorky can't give the hat to himself. He currently has it. Okay, so scratch him off the list then from me.
Yep.
And then sheesh, can we figure out a way to trade for Mitch Marner? That goal he just scored was filthy. Oh my gosh. Could you imagine what a trade package for him would be? I don't know. Maybe it would be like the Chickard thing. You could just do it for a second round pick if you absorb the whole contract.
Yeah, I know. They definitely want to get all that money out. $11 million for a winger, I'm always hesitant on. But yeah, Mitch Marner's a heck of a player. And who knows, if the Leafs crash and burn in the first round again, maybe everybody's on the table at that point for whoever the next GM is. Then you can think about it.
Yeah, well, it would definitely be a next GM. We talked about that on the Red Glare podcast earlier. You can check it out, everybody. It's part 1 of our trade deadline spectacular. Hour and a half, and it's only part 1. We didn't even get through all the trades that have already happened, much less what's going to happen tomorrow. If you're interested, the link to the Patreon is down below. Yeah, it's a crazy situation there. Putting you on the spot, RJ. $11 million winger. Who would you rather have, Mitch Marner or Pasta?
Pastrnak, no question.
Me too. Good answer. Good answer. Gary, 65 points for Matty Calder Beniers this year. Let's see where he's at. 65 points. But before, at the beginning of the season, I would have said absolutely. That's like what I would have expected. Certainly while he was hot through most of the season. The 2 points tonight get him to 44.
That's going to be a stretch.
61 games in. Yeah, I don't know that he could. He'd have to be
pretty near a point per game pace
the rest of the way. Is he capable of it? Yes. Do I think he'll do it? I think he'll probably come up short. I think 60 is more like where he might end up stopping. But that still, this year particularly, should be enough for the Calder, especially because he back checks and he plays defense and does all that other stuff. And injuries have kind of helped him out along this way too a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And even though he missed a couple games himself, he wasn't out for very long. So that has helped him out in this race, but he should be able to lead the rookie scoring race. And that's the first thing anyone's going to look at.
Yeah, Owen Power is heating up a little bit, and that scares me a little bit because he's got the East Coast advantage, and that's definitely something you have to worry about. Patrick, okay, I need to make dinner. See you all tomorrow. Thank you for joining us while you did, Patrick. We'll see you. And then Burns Krem, I feel like Francis is just trying to get to the playoffs as opposed to winning rounds. I can't see us getting out of round 1 with such poor face-off and inconsistent defense. I kind of agree with you, but I think that, again, this is one of those instances, and I said this so much last year, where it's just, we got to trust the process with Ron Francis and trust that he's honest with us. Last year it was all the 3 to 5 years. This year he's being honest with us when he's like, look, I'm not going to go make a big move at this point. You know what I mean? And I think that we just have to get back to Ron Francis has this sneaky way of just telling us exactly what's going to happen and all of us somehow ignoring it. but I think he still believes in the 3 to 5 year plan. This is year 2. I think this might even be a slightly ahead of schedule based off of what he was expecting after last year. But I think just the idea of making the playoffs year 2 and then year 3 you start competing, especially when you have a franchise cornerstone like a Matty Beniers playing as well as he already is in his career. I think that makes a lot of sense, and that's a very comfortable place for really anybody to be in.
Yeah, that's the term I was going to use, was ahead of schedule. And anyone who's been following along with us from the start of the season and what our expectations were at, I think they know that the Kraken are ahead of schedule and kind of where this retool is and where this build is going. And I don't think Ron Francis has seen enough to really try and push that envelope, push that window. If you watch this game tonight, you'll see the frustrating moments, maybe reasons not to believe that this team is a Stanley Cup contender. And that's okay. You know what? This team is what it is. They're going to get as far as they get. And I think if they get back to their game like they were playing in January on that long road trip, they can go very, very far with who they have. It's just a matter of getting back to playing that way. And I don't think it's worth selling out the future for any kind of reinforcements.
Yeah, agreed. I'm right there with you. Habak, with the Kings getting an actual goalie, who would be the best case first round matchup for us? I mean, it's a really tough situation, RJ. All these teams scare me. They all scare me.
After loading up, they all scare me. I mean, heck, even the Oilers, as fundamentally flawed as I said they are, with Ekholm there to play some defense too, and bringing a depth center and Bukestad getting a little bit better, and then of course McDavid just able to take over games. They scare me. Vegas always scared me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I know. Because I'm with you. Before this situation with the Kings getting a netminder, I would have probably said LA. I think we've matched up really well against LA all season long. We've kind of had their number. We play them well. They're never able to get going what they want to get going when we play them, and I think that's a really big deal when you start talking about a 7-game series. But I mean, they're bringing in a goalie who, I mean, we talked about earlier, RJ. I think he's a bigger piece of that trade, even over Gavrikov, because like you're talking 8.4 goals saved above expected in only 28 games. I mean, that is so the opposite of what the Kings have had all year long.
Yeah, it really is. And we've seen Korpisalo steal a playoff series in the past, even though it was a little while ago in the bubble. But man, they scare me now.
Yeah. Got this one from Edward. Was waiting at a bus stop during overtime. Ambulance went by, siren full blare. Next thing I was able to hear on the radio broadcast was Bjorky's game winner. Usually the siren comes after the goal, yes. Traditionally.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. I want the Oilers in the first round. Maximum shock value to Hockey World if we win, from Striatic there. That's a good point. Like, if you want to make a splash, you might as well go after the biggest fish, and that would be the team with McDavid on it.
Yeah, all the eyes would be on that series.
Absolutely. So there's definitely a value in that, especially if you're feeling like, we're just going to do what we do anyway. And he's following it up. Plus, I don't want to play Vegas or LA in first round because I want them playing each other. I mean, they would beat.
I mean, who doesn't at this point?
They would beat the crud out of each other in the first round series. I think we would all want that. And then obviously you got the Jonathan Quick stuff going on too. Like, that would be a lot. Let's see. Joey, I hope no moves unless we get a good deal for Susie. Don't give up our draft capital. Agreed. Let's see, Lindsay, but just think about the narrative. If the Kraken get out of the first round and Toronto doesn't, always be thinking, how does this affect the Leafs?
Always the most important question there. I thought you might be going a different direction with everybody loading up and the Kraken potentially standing pat. The narrative there of like, look, you don't need to make these big additions. I think that would also be pretty cool if the Kraken could get past some of these teams that gave up major draft capital, to kind of tie it back into the last comment. That might be pretty interesting.
That would be a heck of a narrative too, and one that would not endear Ron Francis to a lot of other general managers. Good luck getting a deal done after that.
Speaking of Ron Francis, we are getting him tomorrow, right after the deadline. So we'll have a media availability with Ron Francis. If anyone wants to throw in chat any questions for him, can't guarantee they'll get asked, but if anyone's got any thoughts there.
Yeah, that should be an interesting one. Let's see. Absurdly saying, I don't think people should be getting greedy / impatient about playoffs. I understand the impulse, but geez, it's only year 2. I know, but we're right there. We've been playing so well all season. Come on. It's exciting. Playoff hockey, so exciting. But I understand where you're coming from. I think the only reason at this point that I feel like it's important is only because the Kraken have been in a playoff spot virtually all season from like November on. And that if you miss, particularly in a year where, of the teams that are competitive in the West, only one of them is in a spot to miss it. I think you just don't want the narrative to be you blew it, you couldn't handle it down the stretch, and you were the odd man out. I think that's the one. I think that's a situation that's worse than potentially being a little like, yeah, playoffs, getting a little greedy for the playoffs.
Even now, after a bit of a rough stretch, the Kraken are still at 91.3% on the money puck odds to make the playoffs. Yeah. I think you got to understand the amount of losing against bad teams they're going to have to do to miss. It would feel pretty bad over the final month and a half.
Right. And that's when you also start thinking like that's kind of something that could cost Hackstall the job, all those other ramifications for it. So I don't know. I'm all for the playoffs. Playoff hockey is just fun. I want to cover it. Never been able to do that before. I don't know. I'm excited, but maybe that's for selfish reasons. Julius letting us know Canner got the hat. So they went with kind of the obvious choice. This one.
Interesting. All right.
Or I should say Bjorkstrand went with the obvious choice.
Gotta deflect from his own 2 goals onto someone else who got 2 goals.
I was gonna say I'm terrible at math. I don't know what kind of chart or graph or whatever it would need to be to track who got the hat and then who they gave it to, like most, to see if there's any like sort of like friendship plays going on here. Like so and so just disproportionately always gives it to so and so, something like that.
That's a good off-season project for me.
I'm just saying. I think there could be something there if anybody wants to get on that. Kyle, the season feels like finding $20 in your pocket. A trade feels like buying a lotto ticket with that $20.
Well said.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to take a picture of that one because that is absolutely fantastic, Kyle. Very well done. Very well done on that one. Let's see. Burnt Creme. Anything for Susie is a good deal as he's not back next year. Hopefully. I mean, I don't know about hopefully, but I don't think he'll be back next year. He's going to be a UFA. I just don't see the Kraken being able to realistically probably match the number he's going to want and or feel like they have a spot for him with guys like Riker Evans coming up.
Exactly. You don't want to box Evans out of the lineup.
Yeah. Stratix saying straight up ask Ron why he passed on Chychrun.
You gotta have a little bit more. You gotta have a little more finesse than that. That would be something though. Just straight up at first question, why'd you pass upon Chychrun?
See, Stratic, you messed up because you didn't start it off with "I double dog dare you." That's what it would have taken. Now.
Well, hey Ron, I double dog dare you to answer why you passed on Chychrun.
That would have been fantastic. Absurdly say, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see us win it all. I just don't think we should be acting like not getting out of round 1 is some sort of failure. All right, that I'll agree with you with.
Yes.
I don't think round 1 lost. I'm fine with that. Maybe, a sweep would be bad, but I'm totally fine not getting out of round 1. I just think the only thing that would be bad is if we just blow it down the stretch. Like that's
missing the playoffs would be the point. Yeah.
Bert Krem, if they miss the playoffs now, the letdown would be so huge. Something would change from ownership. They don't just want hockey. They want winning hockey. I agree with that. And then Sean, when it comes to Chychrun, I think our first likely being quite a bit later than Ottawa had to have something to do with it. I agree, but then I don't know. There's creative things that either general manager in that scenario could do. And I just felt like from Arizona, they weren't open to anything like that.
Right. Bill Armstrong, the Coyotes GM, basically said as much. He said that was a big part of the deal was the fact that Ottawa was able to offer a higher first-round pick than any other team. So that would make it tougher on the Kraken. But you have other assets that can equal the value that you could probably trade to move up if you really wanted to. There are creative ways to get around that if you're committed to making a deal. And I don't think Francis was entirely committed to doing that.
Yeah, I agree. It would be a lot of work to then try to get the deal done, which there's no guarantee that they would still do the deal with you. So like, I understand Francis not wanting to do it. And then it would be, you could do that and make some sort of package to Bill Armstrong and then put Armstrong in the situation where then he would have to trade up. But again, like if you're Bill Armstrong, do you want to do that? You're just like, no, just give me what I want. it's like, here, I'm giving you this thing, but also like, here's homework. Like, you know,
Yeah.
hey, congrats! It's the end of the school day. Here's a brownie. Also, here's a bunch of homework you have to go and do, and it's the last day of school or something. It's like, why would you do that? Um, Stratic, now you got a triple dog, Ron. If you expect an answer.
Yeah. Even then, it'd be tough. He's pretty tough.
Yeah. All right. Quick last call for everybody. But RJ, looking ahead to tomorrow, playing Columbus, they've got some scary guys on that team. You know, they got a Johnny Hockey, they got a Patrick Laine. I don't even know who's healthy right now for them because it seems to change daily which half of the roster is healthy and which half isn't. But they do have some scary guys on that team. I mean, what should you expect? They played us tough earlier when we played them.
Yeah, that game stayed close for longer than it should have. A lot of that was Elvis Merzlikins standing on his head. I expect another Kraken win. It's just whether it comes ugly like this one or maybe a little prettier. The talent imbalance is just too great. The Kraken would have to do a lot to blow that game.
Yeah.
As I felt the case was tonight. They almost did enough, but
Mhm.
I see them taking care of business. I
Yeah, I
can't
was
be confident at this point they'll do it in a good looking way, but I think they will take care of business.
I'm with you there. I think that's very understandable. Everybody's probably in the same boat. But yeah, the depth, particularly up front, it's so heavily in the Kraken's favor in this matchup. And looking at it, it looks like the two biggies still out for them is Jake Bean and Zach Werenski on the blue line for them. So yeah, you know, there's some dangerous guys. We all get to watch my boy Boone Jenner a little bit. So we got that to look forward to, everybody. But yeah, it's gonna be it should be an okay one for him. Let's see. Wendy, ask Ron about getting some contracts done before the offseason. Stratic saying great question. I'd love to know that. So yeah, you know, if he's had any talks with maybe a Vince Dunn or anything, or if the players kind of shut that down. I think that
Yeah,
would
that's
definitely be
definitely
something.
something I plan on asking to get to know, the UFAs and RFAs where those negotiations are at.
Yeah. And then especially like if it's like a quiet deadline for them, it's like, you know, well, were you using that
What were
time
you
to then
doing? Yeah.
talk to them? Yeah, you know, where were you? On March the 3rd, where were you? It's like, well, here. Hubak, are we ever going to see Decord being a number 2 or a 1? It's an interesting question. Probably better for like a more of an answer in a deep dive, but
Hmm.
I don't know that it'll work in this Kraken organization, RJ.
Yeah, I just don't know that a gap's going to open up for him, and it's tough when you turn 27 by the time next season starts. You're looking at really in the thick of your prime there. If you're not having a chance at the NHL level, it's going to be really hard.
Yeah, it's definitely rough. They need points tomorrow. Colorado is hot on Sunday. Yeah, I mean Colorado is like on fire. It's almost like they're a good team that could like win a cup or something. They're playing so well right now. CR Bud Dylan, I just think you like saying Boone Jenner. I do. Boone. Like it's fun. You just go Boone.
Well, you can enjoy that
Come on,
plenty
everybody.
tomorrow.
I know. I'm gonna have a good time with it. Um, Daniel, especially in a city with the Mariners, we don't want to blow the playoffs. It's
Yeah, good point.
very, very good point. Very, very good point. But I don't think it's going to happen. This Kraken team is playing well. Pick up the 2 points today, just like they did earlier in the week. Kicking off March, new month. It's supposed to be a good month. And so far, it looks like a pretty good month for them as well. Got that Columbus game tomorrow. Same start time, right? It's 4:00 game. So we'll be
Yep.
back here doing post game roughly the same time. Hopefully, it doesn't have to go to overtime. We could just take care of it in regulation. But yeah, I'm loving all that good stuff. Thank you everybody for joining us. Thanks to everybody who dropped a super chat in this one. It was awesome for all that. Good to see you again, Brian, by the way. One last time there. Thank you one more time to Queen Anne Beer Hall for sponsoring these post game lives. Again, everybody, feel free to go check out the game tomorrow night there. It's always a fantastic place to watch the game. Always have a fantastic time there. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we will see you all tomorrow after that Columbus game.